So we've just touched September, and for some reason it feels like it's only been a couple months since the first Bleach trailer dropped, and in quite literally a month we're getting the 1000-year Blood War arc and the Bleach anime returning after such a long hiatus. I've made videos in the past talking about the Bleach manga and the hype I have coming into the Blood War arc, and although I've read the upcoming arc about a year and a half ago, I decided to go back and refresh my memory on the Bleach story from the absolute beginning, as I've only consumed about half of Fate Karakura and the 1000-year Blood War in the source material. My experience with the rest of the story has mostly been with the anime, and that was quite some time ago, so I went back through the early portions of the Bleach story, more specifically the first two arcs, Substitute Shinigami and Soul Society, and I honestly just flew through them both within a day or two. When talking about Bleach, a lot of people somehow completely disregard the foundation of the story and the early beginnings. You'd be surprised at how many people think that Soul Society is Bleach's first arc, or the fact that many recommend others to skip the entirety of the Substitute Shinigami arc. In fact, when I first got into Bleach, I was even told to do that, but from this recent reread, I've grown an appreciation for the arc that I didn't have before. It took a while to get used to Kubo's art style from when he was first starting out, but seeing him evolve and develop his style was such a cool sight to see, and I'll get into that a bit more later in the video. The beginning arc for Bleach was for the most part a ton of fun and interesting segments that have a completely different tone to what Bleach later becomes as the story develops. We learn about the basic yet important aspects of the Bleach world, such as the Hollows and how they were once human and how they affect the world of the living, Ichigo's first encounter with the Hollow where he gained his Shinigami powers from Rukia, which led to her capture by the Soul Society, and Orihime's older brother, who was a Hollow and portrayed to us that Hollows are essentially lost souls that have yet to be admitted into the Soul Society and are forever trying to fill the void of being left behind. We also get a glimpse of the Quincy race and the differences between them and the Shinigami on how Hollows are meant to be dealt with through Ishida and Ichigo's dynamic. And most importantly, we see the foundation of relationships between Ichigo and the main cast of the story, Chad, Orihime, Rukia, and Ishida. All these segments play a pretty big factor later on within the story, which is something I wasn't surprised with coming into this reread, as Kubo takes great care in laying the groundwork for later portions of the manga. One of the most important aspects and chapters within this arc, which is later explored through pretty much every arc in the Bleach manga, is Ichigo's main motivation and drive to protect his loved ones. Ichigo is a main character that a lot of people find the most relatable in comparison to other main characters in his genre. He's not loud and abrasive, he tries not to stick out and seek attention, and he just seems to be a regular teenage kid. Also, unlike other shonen MCs, Ichigo doesn't have any crazy outlandish goals that he aspires to accomplish. He doesn't want to become the Wizard King or Hokage, instead he just wishes to protect his friends and family, and this motivation stemmed from his mother's passing, where she was killed by a Hollow in front of Ichigo when he was only 9 years old. This basically created a burden within Ichigo's mind where he felt as if he couldn't protect her, which in turn became Ichigo's main motivation and the reason why he takes incredible risks and sacrifices for the people he likes in later chapters, and especially in Soul Society and Wakamundo. This arc was nothing crazy in terms of Bleach's standards, but it does a good job in developing these key aspects of the story and laying the groundwork for what's to come. This is where the story transitions into Bleach's most pivotal point in terms of popularity and what piqued my interest the most, the Soul Society arc. From Substitute Shinigami to the Soul Society arc, Bleach has had a very seamless transition. From Renji and Byakuya's first introduction and the retrieval of Rukia to Ichigo and the gang infiltrating the Serete, everything felt pretty smooth aside from some minor issues with the pacing in the Rakongai district. But Ichigo and everyone else's training after Renji and especially Byakuya violated him was a well needed power up, with Ichigo gaining his new Shikai release and getting rid of that plain ass sword whilst also gaining some proper battle experience with Urahara, another Shinigami, and it was a pretty good introduction into the world of Zanpakuto that they were about to step foot in. The Soul Society arc is when Bleach kicks off through many ways. The battles, the story, the eternal conflict within the Gotei 13, every part of this series just leveled up, and the first notable aspect of this arc that I noticed while reading it was the shift in art style from Kubo. He developed the faces of the cast from more strict rectangular lines to round and smoother edges. You can see this through the new characters he introduces and from our main cast, as Orihime and Rukia look extremely different to when they were first shown. This is definitely not the only change in Kubo's art style, as I noticed that the fights are a lot more dynamic than they were in the previous arc. And this was essential with what Kubo was pursuing with the Shinigami and the variety of different abilities and powers they have. This was obviously only the beginning of Kubo's evolution as an artist, but it's nice to see this kind of development from him early on within the manga. Coming into this area here, Ichigo got pulled upon by Ikkaku, and this was where I first noticed that Kubo is picking up the excitement and choreography of his fights. You can see that the paneling is now a lot cleaner and fills the page nicer, and Kubo is now comfortable with using big spreads every other chapter, whereas in the previous arc it was kind of a rare sight. I've never seen an arc have so many dope character introductions as Soul Society had. Every captain within the Gote 13's initial showing gave off the exact vibe that Kubo was attempting to portray with them. Gin of course had that mysterious and snake-like outlook, and from Kenpachi's character design you can already tell that he's on a different kind of smoke. There's also people like Aizen who are deliberately portrayed in a certain way to make events that come later on a lot more dramatic and shocking, like his death in chapter 100 or his plot twist towards the end of the arc. This is just to name a few of many different characters that got introduced within this arc damn near perfectly. The Soul Society arc is built upon intense and deadly circumstances for not only Ichigo but the entire Rukia rescue team, and with that we got some of the dopest fights the manga has to offer. Like, Ishida vs Mayuri is now one of my favourite fights in the entirety of Bleach, not only because of the action within the fight but the way it characterized the both of them. It was a perfect matchup, especially with how Ishida was shown in the first arc and his hatred towards Soripus, and Mayuri's demeanor and actions being some of the worst we've seen from a character in the manga. He would use any tool in his disposal, such as Nemu in his fight against Ishida, or to recruit Soripus as a sacrificial bomb to gain an advantage. Not to mention he did unspeakable things to his clan and grandfather as well, so the revenge on sight of Ishida's true power was really cool to see, because even though we've seen that he's pretty strong, the full extent of his power was just on a whole different level and completely destroyed Mayuri's torso, which is one of the many brutal scenes in Bleach that got completely censored in the anime from what I can remember. So glad Dazuya Blood wasn't censored, man. In terms of the other battles within the arc, obviously Ichigo vs Kenny and Byakuya was really dope, and from Ichigo saving Rukia from the Tokyo coup to the Hollow Mask appearing, it was just back-to-back hype action constantly being thrown at us, and although the Shunsui and Ukitake vs Yama fight was off-screen, seeing Yama Shikai release just got me even more excited for what's to come in the next arc. Ain't gonna spoil anything major, but if you know, you know. These fights were nicely balanced with the Aizen plotline that was happening alongside the Rukia rescue, and Aizen dominating anyone who came at him with absolutely no difficulty at all was just a taste of what will happen in the next arc. Overall, this reread was really cool, and I thought that I'd catch up a bit on early Bleach, seeing as how the new season is right around the corner. Substitute Shinigami arc and Soul Society was a ton of fun and hype moments, with a hint of foreshadowing for later arcs within the story. I'll probably read the Aranka saga and Fullbring in the next coming weeks as well, because I'm enjoying the manga a lot right now. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more Bleach content, let me know by liking the video and subscribe to keep up to date with the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Peace.